Hi, this is Mr. Guy, and we're going to be going over the basics of Congress. This is going to be in the Nearpod that I'm going to be presenting for online work. This beginning part is just the basics. Please make sure you take notes on the different sections. There will be quizzes, there'll be questions, there'll be things for you to actually do. And this is just basics, and then we're going to go over how a bill becomes a law and committee work and the others. And then we're going to be going into the president. We're going to be going into Supreme Court and the basics of the three branches of government. So we're going to start with Congress because it is the legislative branch. It is in Article 1, so it's the first branch of government. Some basic questions in the beginning part is why does the Constitution divide power between the two houses of Congress? What is a term of Congress, and how have sessions of Congress changed over time? So that's what we're going to look at the beginning. Constitution creates a bicameral legislature. That means two house legislature. We have a House and a Senate for three different reasons. One is historical. Basically, we were British and we had followed Great Britain in the British Parliament. They had two houses since the 1300s. They had the House of Commons and the House of Lords. And many of the other colonial assemblies, like the Virginia House of Burgess, had two houses. So it was basically historical. Also, as practical, a bicameral legislature was necessary to compromise. We had the Virginia plan and the New Jersey plan. Virginia plan was for the big states. The New Jersey plan was for the small states. So this was just a compromise between the small and the large states. And theoretical, the framers favored a bicameral Congress in order that one house could check the other house, so things go slower, more deliberately. And if you had one house, laws can be passed a lot quicker. When you have two, it actually slows things down. Term. A term is the length of time that officials serve after an election. So in the House, they have a 2-year term, and then in the Senate, they have a 6-year term. But for each Congress, they basically have basically 2-year term that we have. The date for the start of each term begins on the third day of January of every odd number year. This is done by the 20th Amendment, 1933. It was in March, so it was like March 4th, so they brought it into January 3rd, which is a lot better because you have your elections in November, and then you don't want to start out in November, 5 months later. So this is much easier to go to the third day of June in every odd numbered year. So you're elected in 2020. They start their term in January 3rd, 2021. Here's comparison between some others. The U.S. has got 435 in the House of Representatives, and they have Senate. We call it Congress. How they're elected, both are direct popular vote. In the beginning, the Senate was done by state legislatures. That's changed in term of office. Costa Rica has a legislative assembly with only one house, 57, direct popular vote, 4 years. Look at France, they have a Parliament, National Assembly and Senate, and they have a lot more people in both, 577 and 321. One is direct popular votes, and one is local electoral colleges. That's interesting to see that. 9 years and 5 years. And then you have Israel, only has one house, 120, direct popular vote, 4 years. So you can see the differences between the two. Some have one houses, some have two houses. And it looks like we're not the largest by any means, and we're probably out of all of these the largest in population. So the exact size of the House of Representatives is set at 435 members, and it's determined by Congress. The Constitution provides the total number of seats in the House shall be apportioned among the states based on their population. That's done every 10 years due to the census. So after the 2020 census, we'll see what states actually get and how they get moved around. House of Representatives serves a 2-year term. And there have been recent movements to have term limits. There are no term limits on the number of terms a representative or a senator may serve, but this is for the House. The House does this. Article 1 of the Constitution directs Congress to reapportion or redistribute the seats in the House after each 10-year sentence. So we have a census every 10 years. As the United States grew in population, the number of representatives in the House grew. It used to be one representative for every 30,000 people, and currently it's now one representative for about 700,000 people. The Reapportionment Act of 1929 set the permanent size of the House at 435 members, and this provided for automatic reapportionment. We just move them around. It's, I think, time to look at maybe we should increase this number because our population in 1929 was maybe 70 million, and now it's like getting close to 350 million. Don't think it should be 10,766 like the original Constitution, but if it was 500 or 600, that would make more sense. Here is the current congressional seats. Arizona got 9. It went up from 8, so we gained a seat. California is at 53. New Mexico 3. Look at Montana and North Dakota. They have 1 representative, so they represent the entire state. Idaho's got 2, and then you look the yellow, they lost seats, and then the blue, dark blue, they gained seats. And those are the current congressional seats from the 2010 reapportionment. Congressional elections are held on the Tuesday following the first Monday in November of each even-numbered year. So they're basically 2018, 2020, 2022, 2024. Off-year elections are those congressional elections between presidential elections. Also, you might be calling that a midterm election, but that's the 2018, 2014 when there's not a president running. Districts and gerrymandering. Under the single member district arrangement, the voters in each district select one of the state's representatives. Then you have general ticket system. It's no longer in use, provided that all of the seats were filled at large, but that's normally done. Districts that have unusual shapes or shapes that defy description are called gerrymandered. Typically, they're done for racial purposes or political purposes. Gerrymandering refers to the act of drawing congressional districts, the advantage of the political party that controls the House or the state, so the state representative. So like in Arizona, we have basically a group that does it. We have equal number of Republicans, Democrats, Independents, and we're 5-4 Democrat versus Republican. At this time, in the last census before this, it was 5-4 Republican over Democrat. It's pretty fair. Some states, if you're in Texas, they're drawing it in favor of Republicans, and if it was Maryland, they did it in favor of the Democrats. Qualifications for members of the House. Constitution states this. You must be 25 years old. You must have been a citizen of the United States for at least 7 years, an inhabitant of the state from which you're elected, and you must be there. Also, the realities of politics requires some basic qualifications, such as you need to be known, gender, ethnic. You might probably need education. It's not required to be a college educated. It's not required to be a lawyer, but you find many are lawyers. Some are doctors. Most of them are rich. But there are some informal qualifications like party identification, Democrat, Republican, name familiarity. So Mark Kelly is running. He's running for Senate, but just to show he is somebody that is Gabby Giffords' husband. He's known in Arizona. He's also an astronaut, so that kind of helps with that. Sometimes gender and ethnic characteristics help in getting qualified for or running for the House. Constitution says the Senate shall be composed of 2 senators from each state. So we have 50 states. We have 2 times 50 is 100 senators. Originally, the Constitution provided the senators were chosen by the legislatures. Currently, right now, with the 17th Amendment in 1912 was passed, called for the popular election of senators. Senators serve for 6 terms. Qualifications for Senate are higher than the representatives. The Constitution says that a senator must be 30 years of age, must have been a citizen for at least 9 years, and must be an inhabitant of the state where he or she is elected. So it's a little bit higher qualifications, 30 years instead of 25, 9 years instead of 7, but both of them require them to be an inhabitant of the state. Here is the profile of the Senate on the left and also on the right. It shows the numbers of Democrats and Republicans with the totals. Then it shows new members. So there was like 8 new members in the Senate, and there was 93 new members in the House, and took off a since split ticket district, women, black. So there are basically, it looks like women 102 in the House, and there are 24 in the Senate. Blacks, there are now 3 in the House, and there are 52 in the 3 in the Senate, and then 52 in the House. So you're looking at the different gay, lesbian, women, minorities, LGBTQ, median age, and so on. So that's a good profile of the last Congress that was just elected in 2018. These are ways that senators and representatives can represent people. They have 4 options. Trustee believes that each question they face must be decided on its own merits. You basically elected the representative or senator, and they're going to do what they think is best. Delegates see themselves as agents of the people who elected them, and if people want a certain issue, they're going to vote on that to help support the people. Partisans, lawmakers are their allegiance to the political party first. They'll basically vote whatever the party says, and then politicos attempt to combine the basic elements of the trustee, the delegate, and partisan, and they'll do it in some different way, in some combination, where they will work with their people. They'll work what they think is best for the political party. Committee membership and public servants. Each member is going to, for the House and Senate, will be in committees. And the committees basically screen laws before they're voted on. It's a part of their main work in how a bill becomes a law. Also, they will do with committee work oversight functions, so they'll overlook the president and the IRS or the ATF or different areas like the State Department. Oversights the process by which Congress through committees checks to see that the agencies of the executive branch are following their laws and what they're doing. Members of the House and Senate also act as servants of their constituents. They'll do things for them. If I wanted my son to go to the Naval Academy, the senator would have to write a letter on the behalf of me to do that. If I want certain help with Obamacare or Social Security disability, I would go to my member of House or the Senate. Requests from voters may vary widely. Members of Congress take heed in ignoring them. Ignoring does not bode well in another election. So basically, each senator and representative has a local office and a national office. Compensation. Today's senators and representatives are paid a salary of $174,000 a year. Certain members, like the leadership, are paid more. The Speaker of the House is paid $223,500, and the House and Senate's leadership, the minority leader, majority leader, are paid $193,000. Franking privilege allows members of Congress to mail letters and other materials postage fee, substituting their fax signature frank for the postage. And basically, it's about $50,000 per year they're allowed. Congress says that Constitution says that Congress fixes its own compensation. The only real limit to congressional pay is the president's veto, and then voter basically, feedback. So Congress sets their own pay. Congress can do it. One with the 27th Amendment, Congress can't raise their pay in their current term. It has to be for the next term when they're not elected yet. Membership privileges. Members are immune from arrest for non-criminal offenses while engaged in congressional business. The speech and debate clause in Article 1, Section 6 protects representatives and senators from suits for libel or slander arising from their official conduct. So they can't be sued for libel or slander for what they say on the floor. Also, they do have gym membership. They've got a cafeteria. They've got their own offices. They've got their own staff. So they've got a lot of privileges. So this is pretty much the basics of Congress. And I'm going to go ahead and stop this. And we're going to have probably some questions and a quiz and some polls and things like that. So this is the end of this slideshow. And you have a good day.